You guys are ready? We're rolling.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you everyone for coming today. I'm really excited to be here. My name is Lily Clayton Hansen, and I am a writer and interviewer and panel moderator based in Nashville. So with me today for our Acting from A to Z panel, we have two terrific actors, Rebecca Lyons immediately to my left, and then Linda Ebgen. I'm just going to give you all a couple of brief cliff notes on them, and then we can jump right into the panel discussion. Linda is based in Nashville. She most recently performed on CMT's Still the King with Billy Ray Cyrus. Her Broadway credits include Curtains and The Pajama Game. She holds a BFA, MFA, and PhD in theater, and has taught the craft at Notre Dame University as well as the University of Texas. She is also the current president of the Nashville chapter of Women in Film and Television, where she created the annual Swift Summit banquet. Rebecca Lyons is also based in Nashville. We really do have some terrific actors based here. She has over 60 credits to her name in independent and major studio films, web series, and television. Her first TV gig was on House of Cards, and she's also appeared on Oprah's own Greenleaf, Mr. Mercedes, Murder Comes to Town, Your Worst Nightmare, and Hush Little Baby. She can be seen in features films The Violent Heart, Silo, and Hour of Lead. When Rebecca isn't on a film or TV set, corporate clients in the industrial world keep her very busy. And I know she's also a big believer in always being in an acting class.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, I am very much into, asking sort of just simplistic questions right away, because I think they always elicit very interesting answers. How did you both get interested in acting initially?
Well, I was a child, and I had an aunt who got me into modeling with the Sears catalogs. Now, don't you love that one? So that kind of started it, and dance classes, and the next thing you know, I was doing all kinds of industrial and commercial work as a child. And then as I got into high school and college, I started pursuing it as a career. And it really was not until I was an adult that I really made any real money in acting. But it's a bug that bites you, and you never get rid of it. I was fortunate enough to study with some of the greats in the world and learned a craft, and it's been able to let me pursue my life even as an older actress. So that's a little bit about me.
Linda has the beautiful, well-learned, accredited actor path. That is not mine. And so I guess, but we do both have a passion for acting, and that is something that actually I've always had. When I was a little girl, I wanted to entertain. My father forced me into this, not forced, but this ethnic Croatian band outside of Chicago. And we would tour around and play we used Croatian instruments and sing and dance and entertain, and that's when I knew that that's what I wanted to do, was tell stories in some way through entertainment. And then that got me involved in theater, of course in school, and then community theater, and then I put all of that on hold, got married, had what I thought a career I needed to have, which was in business. If anybody knows me, it's not exactly me. But had my children and then moved to Nashville about 10 years ago or so. And that brought me back to acting, believe it or not, and specifically television and film, which at the time was just a little bit happening here. And I started studying with a couple of coaches in town, and that really, really made my craft happen and took me in a whole fabulous direction where I ended up with agents and booking, and now the amazing thing is that we have so much happening in the Southeast that somebody living here can work and make money and be a professional actor.
And we did a show together. What was it? Gratuity Not Included or something like that? Yeah.
Yes.
So Rebecca played a waitress, and we played the Golden Girls going to lunch.
It was a funny little
It was
show.
kind of fun. So we've even done things together.
Yes, yeah, we've been on the board of Women in Film and Television
Yes,
together.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, I am curious if both of you, you have very different paths, which I love, and I always think is a nice hybrid to have on stage. Maybe we can talk a little bit about the importance of training, because, I similar to you, I actually also got into doing some acting as an adult, and so that's completely different than, earning degrees in a variety of universities. So maybe you could talk a little bit about your path, the training route you took.
Well, the one thing that I can say about that is that you do have to have tools of your trade, no matter what kind of trade that you're in. If you're an engineer, you've got to have the tools to be an engineer. And it's the same thing with acting. And I was taught Stanislavski method and worked with Lee Strasberg. And if I hadn't gotten married, I probably would have been at the Actors Studio. But instead, I worked at ACT in San Francisco for many years and did repertoire theater. But today we have reality shows where everybody thinks that they can be an actor. But it's extremely competitive, extremely negative, and you have to continue to pick yourself up and understand that rejection is protection. And the more you know and the more you understand, because you're thrown things at you every day. The Steal the King thing, I'll tell you a little bit about that because it's kind of fun, is Regina Moore called me, she's a casting agent, and she said, I want you to do this show. And I said, okay, how many lines do I have? And she said, you don't have any lines. And I said, what do you mean I don't have any lines? And she said, no, you're a featured extra. And I said, what does that mean? And she said, that means you'll make $300, but you have to sit there. And I said, oh God, I don't want to do it. I said, I'm not going to do it. And she said, yes, you are. And she said, if you don't do it, you won't work for me again. So I showed up. Well, I did it. I was the church lady. I went through all that, and I'll be dadgum if Billy Ray Cyrus didn't go on his boondoggle about the show on ABC, NBC, CBS, and who did he show when he went to show that? The church lady. So, sometimes we have to do things that we're really not supposed to do. But being that church lady, I had to use some tools because I had to put myself into a position where I knew and understood that I was there because this minister was telling me to be there. See? So apparently, whatever I did read well because that's what they put up on the television station. So that's a little tiny piece of why you need some acting and some training. So that's my little bit.
Oh gosh, the question was about training?
One thing that I found very interesting when I started, especially talking to agents just on my own, was they said that some actors today, which I'm sure this will be appalling to you, Linda, but maybe are in opposition to training or don't think that they need to be constantly training. Like I said, again, I just got into acting myself in the last year, and I immediately thought, how could you not be training? This is really hard. So maybe you could talk a little bit about when you got back into acting post business world, where you studied and what that was like for you.
Too. So when I started, when the idea popped back into my head and out of my heart about being an actor, I Googled, this was 10 years ago in Nashville, and the actor school down in Franklin popped up, and Alan Dysart runs that school. And so I took a class with him, and I signed up for his beginning class, and I had not done any acting for literally 20 years at this point. So the first class happens, and he gives me a scene, and we do the scene, and it just felt really great. And I can't explain it, but if there are actors in the audience, when something goes right in the scene, there is such a rush that comes over you. It's highly addictive. But because you just want to keep getting that rush. But so that happened my first scene in class, and it felt really good. And I was like, oh, this feels great. And then after class, he said, "Hey, Rebecca, I think you shouldn't be in this beginner class. Let's take you up to this, my intermediate." I was like, "Oh, really? Me? Really?" Yeah. Okay. And he was so lovely to me. He gave me some private coaching, introduced me to my first agent, Sharon Smith at the time. And that kind of just really led from one thing to another. I ended up going from Allen's school to a school that was closer to me logistically and turned out to be a huge blessing in my life. Caroline LeCourriere, who started Nashville Acting Studio. The studio is in Berry Hill now. And I trained with her for 7 years. On top of that, I also trained with Meisner technique, so I think technique is incredibly important. Stanislavski, everything, all of it is incredibly important. If you can't be at a school near you, or you can't go to New York or LA and experience that, you can read, you can watch videos, and I know that sounds so minimizing what you did, but it's important to be aware of the different philosophies of acting and the history of acting. It is important. It's you should, as an actor, be able to speak to those things, whether you've actually studied them or not. It's important to know, because when you get on set and you're working with a director who references some certain technique, you should be aware. You want to be able to talk the talk. And anyway, so now I had to leave the studio because I was working a lot, and my philosophy is, as an actor, if you're not on set or not on stage, you should be in a class. It's like a musician not playing his or her instrument every day. That doesn't make any sense, right? This is our instrument. Our craft has to be exercised at least on a weekly basis if possible. So I take a class now with a man named Corey Parker, who is an actor. You've seen him on many films and television, and he now teaches as well as acts and teaches around the world, and he comes to Nashville once a month or once every other month, and I take class. Big believer.
Well, you brought up something interesting, which I love too, because I think I talk to a lot of actors, and I was the same way when I got into it, which is a lot of times classes are expensive. So I love that you said that you can even pick up a book and learn about these techniques, and I think that is so important. If you can't afford to be in a class all the time, then you can be constantly learning on your own.
Without a doubt, and go ahead and find plays, read screenplays. There are online, like IMDb as a screenplay. There's another. Anyway, you can read and see how it flows, right? The idea. I'm sure that if there are writers in here, there is absolute science to it, right? Yeah.
Well, when you read something else goes on in your mind, right? You read this sentence and something else happens. You read, I went to the store. All of a sudden you're remembering that yesterday you went to Walgreens, or you hit somebody in the car or something. If you can learn to funnel those ideas and make them part of what it is. And that's really listening and being a part of the conversation. When Rebecca talks about that it was magic that happened in a scene, it's because they listened to each other and they reacted to each other, just like we do in conversation. And when we do that, magic happens. And so much of what we do in a craft of acting is not in our world. suicide. We talked about suicide. And if you had to do a scene where you were committing suicide, what things would you do to your body? This is another thing. You have to give up your body. You have to give up all of your functions and become something else. And what are the things that would help you to be able to pull that trigger when you put it to your head? Okay, none of us have ever done that. But you've eaten pickles, get that in your mouth. You've stepped into a cold shower. You have cried. And you want out. See what happens? You have to create the things that will physically change you to be a great actor. And it takes a lot. And that's why we say training. And there's many, many great trainers here in town. So find one and work with them. But I love the fact that you have got to find the inner peace within yourself and learn how to get past it. Because you're acting in roles that you never dreamed that you would ever do and that were never you. I love telling Rebecca to get herself into comedy, because she's a great actress. And the comedic timing is hard too, to have that comedic timing. There's all kinds of techniques with that. But because I'd love to see her do some comedy. And she's done some. And it's such a great tool to do all kinds of different things. But remember that acting is believing, and acting is being comfortable enough with yourself to give it up. To give it up. And that's hard. That's really hard, because we all have little things that we do. We walk with a kink, or we slump over, which I am starting to do because I'm 70 years old. And all these different things. But when I play a certain role, I have to find something else inside me that will bring me to stand up straight, or to bend over even more, whatever the role is. So remember that you have got to have tools. And in this industry, you have to always reinvent yourself. You have to always be willing to move and to change, and to be willing to go outside of your box and to do things that are outside of what you want to do. That's important as an actor, is in this day and age. And we have a lot going on here in Nashville. A lot's changing. We're starting to have films made, independent films. Community theater is really helpful to you as an actor. Do those community films. Do those community theater things. Those independent films are important. Go do them. I know you think, oh, I don't want to do the 48-hour. Yes, do the 48-hour, because it's good for you.
Well, that would lead me to, sort of the next section I would like to touch on, because I am a big believer in always making, these panel, practical. Maybe we could talk a little bit about when you're first getting into acting, how one would get even an agent. I mean, I know that was one thing, like I said, even when I kind of stepped my foot in the door in this last year, and I had this long-term career as a writer, it was like Googling, what is the first step one would take?
Okay, so if you are not intending on studying acting at a university, but you want to be an actor, and you live in a city that has acting schools or acting classes that you can attend, to me that is step number one. Absolutely number one. Training is everything. Because before you get an agent, you have to know what you can bring to the table as an actor, and you can't find that out if you don't explore what it's like to be an actor in a class where it's safe and you can really, really explore and let your guard down. And anyway, and an agent won't be interested in an actor that's not interested in the craft and taking it seriously. And it is serious about taking classes. That is truly, I can't even tell you. You know, living in LA and New York, there are a million of different studios.
And you need proper things. You need a proper resume. You need a headshot, a good
Well,
headshot.
before we get to all of that, I mean,
Yeah.
studying is key.
Yeah.
That's like the first thing to do. And
Yeah.
then once you, say you do interview with an agent and your agent takes you on, that's great. Now you need some credits
Yeah.
or you need a reel.
Yeah.
And the way to get and you need a headshot. You need your headshot and you need a reel. And the way to get a reel when you're first starting out is through student films or small independent films that people are producing in your community. And gather the footage together and make a reel. And that has to go up on websites. So I feel like we're jumping the gun here. But it's other things you can do first starting out besides jumping into a class is attend workshops. So you mentioned Regina Moore.
Yeah.
She's a casting director here in town. She's wonderful. And she does a workshop every few months.
Yeah. And we do ActorCom.
ActorCom, Women in Film and Television, has ActorCom, which is a once a year, 3-day workshop, which is fabulous. And that also gives you a taste and offers resources that you can use to find out more about learning acting. We have theater, you've already mentioned theater, but so those are the things that when you're first starting out are important. We
just spilled water everywhere.
we have great agents in town. We have amazing film schools in town, either standalone like Watkins or within other universities like Belmont and so forth, MTSU. Great student film departments, and the studios at Belmont are just incredible.
And they advertise.
That
They're doing auditions for their student films.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
twice
and
a year.
yeah.
At the beginning of fall semester and then the beginning of spring semester, they hold auditions. And then, what's really great about getting into a student film is you meet these young filmmakers, and these young filmmakers, continue to move on into the business. And then you have a friend who's in, whatever, a writer or director out there working, and it isn't, once you start working with somebody, they like to work with people they like working with, right? We all understand that. So, and a lot of these films too go on to film festival circuits,
Yes.
which gives you which gives you the opportunity to network and get your face out there as an actor.
Yeah.
And anyway, that's just like, to me, the beginning of what to do if you're thinking about being an actor.
So I guess my question would be like, if you're getting into acting and you're looking to get an agent, and in order to have a reel, basically try whatever comes your way. I mean, would that be
keep
it
yourself
in a
open.
nutshell?
Yeah, check out classes.
Yeah.
And there are different studios in town, and you are a reputable studio will not have a problem with you coming and auditing a class.
Right.
And there's a little fee of, I think, $20 or something to audit, but it lets you see whether you like the way the teacher is handling the class or not, and what's happening in it. It's usually scene studies. And that is, to me, that's key.
And ActorCom that we do every
ActorCom.
year has classes,
Mm-hmm.
Shakespeare class, acting class, improv class.
There are improv groups here in
Improv
Nashville now
groups are
that
important.
offer huge, yeah, really important.
Maybe we could touch a little bit on the casting process, and what it's like to, audition. And, I know that world is changing dramatically these days. It used to be in person, now it's all going, to digital, and that's a whole science in and of itself. I know that I've even seen there are lots of workshops taught on how to audition when you have your home set up. Linda, it would be an interesting one for you to touch on because you've seen the arc of the industry change.
Yes, because I started out when you had nothing, and where you just had to show up, or you had to have somebody who represented you and sent you there, to today, where most of your auditions are online, where they want a tape, which Rebecca referred to, about they want a reel. And your best way to get a reel is to do a few little things so that you've got something that you can piece together. Or you can talk to your agent who can recommend somebody to do a taping for you, or you can call Women in Film and we'll find you somebody that'll do a tape for you. But that's difficult because there's nuances about that too. When you go to submit a tape, they have certain regulations about how they want that tape done. They want the full body, and they want it to be horizontal, not vertical. On the phone, if you take it with your phone, it needs to be vertical, not horizontal. And it's very difficult, I think, for an actor to do a tape because you don't have any interplay.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have the interplay that you have when you're in a live scene.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to kind of create that interplay.
You have to make your choices. You
Yeah.
have to read the scene, and you have to, because most of the time you don't get the whole script, you don't get whether it's a television episode or a feature.
Yeah.
And so you have to make your choices based on the breakdown that's been given about your character and what you have in the scene that's been given to you, your sides. So you have to make some strong choices. And when we used to go into rooms and the casting director was there, or the director, they would give us a little more information, and that made it a heck of a lot easier.
Yeah.
But you just have to make a choice for that character in that scene and do that. And maybe if it's a short scene, you do 2 or 3 takes and you send those off.
Yeah.
But it is a whole different world. I've had over 100 auditions this year.
Yeah.
All SAG auditions, all held in most of them in my home or my friend's home, and but all for projects in the Southeast.
Yeah.
So there's and that's just me. That's me and my breakdown.
Yeah.
That is how much is happening in the Southeast.
There's
It's
a lot going on.
incredible.
In New Orleans, in Atlanta, in Alabama, Arkansas, all those places are doing things. And even though we're doing them here, but they have the film incentives. So there's more work there.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia does, right?
Georgia, yeah, Atlanta, all those places.
Yeah.
Would you say, since you mentioned not having as much direction like you used to get in person, which, it seems like you would have to trust yourself even more.
Exactly. Well, then again,
It comes again down to training. You have to be comfortable with letting yourself go and becoming a character, and that takes practice, right? Yes, I do believe that acting is a natural skill, but it is also a trained skill and important. I'll get back to what I'm thinking about. But in an audition, you have to be comfortable with committing to one way, and then now let's try it another way. Like, maybe my character who has a couple of lines, I'm a receptionist at a law firm, and the lawyer has walked in and he wants a certain file from me. And and I respond, yes sir, it's right here, here you go. Maybe I'm just very professional like that, or maybe I'm brand new. Yes sir, it's here you go. Or maybe I have a crush on him. Oh, yeah, yes sir, here you go. You're committing to 3 different ways, right? And you have to just be not afraid to go there and give them some options, and then send those off to the casting director. But yeah, did I answer?
Yeah, no, that was great. I'm curious about, and again, maybe Linda, you could touch on this. the way the industry is changing these days is much different. I mean, now there is social media marketing. It's imperative to have a website. It's not just you show up with your headshot and a resume and that's that. So maybe we could talk a little bit about, tactical sort of stuff.
Facebook actor professional page is big, and Twitter is in there too. I'm forced, y'all. I'm so bad, but I will put something up and I will hashtag the heck out of it because that is how people find you.
Yes.
So every time I do something, I always hashtag actor. Actors like actress, Nashville actor, LA actor, Atlanta actor, Southeastern actor. I mean, set life. I mean, it's like I have these hashtags I use, and I'm sure those of you in the industry, if you're not an actor, you have your own set of hashtags.
Yeah.
So that is critical. So keeping up your Instagram page, posting at least minimum once a week to twice a week is great to keep yourself relevant. I think on Twitter, you have to tweet at least 3 times a day to be relevant.
I agree.
Your actor page on Facebook is also important. You want to engage your friends and their friends and all of that. Just kind of keeping them up to date with what's happening. Like for instance,
You have to be your own PR person.
So I made a post
Really
this
do.
morning about attending this today.
Yeah.
And it helps to promote the festival and it helps to promote me. And I'll be honest with you, I've taken meetings in LA with agents there, prominent agents, and literally on the sheet I had to fill out as I walked in the door, they wanted to know my Instagram, Facebook, Twitter links and how many followers I have.
Yeah. How many followers?
Because guess what? When it comes down to choosing an actress for a certain role, and it is between me, who has a whole whopping, 1,500 followers on Instagram, with someone who has 15,000,
Yeah.
guess what? They're gonna choose her. It's a sad, sad fact,
Yeah.
but it is true.
That's
So
true.
I've gotta get better at my social media. It is the way things are these days. And as far as having a website, I just don't know if, I just have all my information out there. My reel is on my
Yeah.
IMDb page. I have links to things on my IMDb on my social media, like
No, I do
Facebook
agree.
page
I
and
do
my
agree with
Instagram.
you about
I'm not
that.
good at Twitter. I never tweet. I'm horrible. I've got to get better. See, that's maybe what's holding me back, right? Is I'm not taking it as seriously as I need to. But it is important. It just is the way things are now.
Well, yeah, I mean, it sounds like you both, accept the way the industry's going and are trying to navigate it on your own. I am curious about, maybe you could talk a little bit about headshots, because I know that that is extremely important and you are your own product. I mean, you're your own instrument. Maybe a little bit about
Hugely important.
knowing your
yeah.
look and what
Okay.
you're selling.
So a good thing to do if you don't know who you are as an actor is ask, how do you see me? How do you see me? How do you see me? And literally you ask people that and they will tell you,
Yeah.
right? Most of the time I would get, they would see me as a doctor, a serious mom. Everything was like I was educated, I may be wealthy, kind of like that's how they saw me. And I inside thinking, I'm dark. You see me, I can do a real good trailer. That's like sometimes how I'm feeling. But that's not how people are seeing me, right? I'm Dale Dickey. Now she does trailer excellent, and she books those roles. She's amazing. She has that look. She's fabulous. So headshots, right? Once you have an idea of what you are, you find a photographer in town. We do have some lovely photographers in town. And you want at least 2. You need a theatrical and a commercial. Your theatrical, no smile.
Yeah.
Your commercial, smile. I can sell your product.
Yeah.
And it has to be
Current.
Current.
Not one of your 50-year-ago ones.
And not wearing anything busy. I mean, literally, if you just want to wear a black sweater and a gray sweater or
Yeah.
whatever, maybe your commercial is a little more cheerful color.
Yeah.
But you want the headshot to be from here up, here to here, and very clear eye contact.
Yeah.
No hands in there for a headshot.
Yeah.
Publicity shot, sure, that's a whole different ballgame. Then, because I help a friend who has a casting company here and in LA, I know what she sees. I know when your agent submits you for a commercial, I see those headshots all popping up. There's hundreds of them to be sorted through. So you want your headshot to make a statement. You want to be the very best you can be. It's got to pop. I don't know what else to say. But it shouldn't pop because you're doing something goofy.
Right.
You need to be
No.
professional. It needs to be professionally shot and clear and representing who you are.
And cry once, get a good headshot, cry once, and then you can have it duplicated. You can take it to Sam's Club or to Walmart or whatever and get it duplicated, but do get a good headshot first. And then once you get it, make yourself some labels with your name on it and stick those labels on the back, because you'll go to auditions, you'll leave your resume, you'll leave your headshot, and sometimes they get separated. So make sure that you have a sticky on the back of your headshot that says who you are and your contact information.
That's a good idea. I mean, I have my name on my picture, and then I stick
Yeah.
my resume in the back, if that's what I
Yeah, no, you have to put it on the back.
And also nowadays, commercial and theatrical is not enough. Now you need a variety of commercial.
Yeah.
You need a variety of
Yeah.
theatrical, like I have one where I look like a detective or a judge or a doctor or just straight up me. And commercial, I'm a mom, I'm anything, a million different things. But the more headshots now, the better. And those are all put up on different websites that we use, like Actors Access, 1-800 Casting Networks, yeah.
And can I just say something with it? Having worked in the world of casting, one of our pet peeves was if you change your hair and you come in with an old headshot, I don't care if it was 6 months ago, you don't reflect what we're looking for. So it's important to get a new headshot. Even though you might have spent $800 6 months ago on an updated headshot, if you've changed your hair or your haircut, you've got to go out and spend money.
You do need.
That's why my hair's been like this for a few years.
It's just like the real estate agents, you know.
Yes.
You get this real estate agent's card and you say, oh, that's a good looking real estate agent, and then you meet them. And it's a picture from 40 years ago. You know, you can't do that.
And for guys, it's great to have a shot where you have some scruff, and
Yeah,
then a shot where you're a clean face.
yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to add too, you know, when we have people come in the room to cast, there's a reason there are certain people that book over and over and over again.
Yeah,
It's because of the continuity of the headshots, because it's real, it's authentic. Obviously,
yes,
the professionalism, the quality in acting also.
yes.
But that also makes a huge statement.
I agree.
Right? So that's
And you'll
consistent.
get more work if you are professional about who you are. If you show up on time, you are there when you're supposed to be, you know, that you treat it like a real job. And the more you do that, the more you'll work.
Well, you talked about consistency, right?
Yes.
And trust,
Yes.
being, doing the job on set. So you're starting off and you've got your agent, you've got your headshots, you've done student films, and you have a little reel, it doesn't have to be long. And now you start auditioning for, you know, network or big studio productions, and casting directors call you in. First of all, congratulations, that's a big deal to be
Yeah.
asked to audition.
Exactly.
So you do it, and you're so excited, and then you don't hear anything. You don't hear anything. You don't hear anything. You're like, oh, did I get it or not? You bug your agent. You don't do that. You just have to. At some point, you have to let it go. If I
Yeah.
did that over 100 times this year, I mean, my agent would have said, "Goodbye, Rebecca. We are done with you because you are high maintenance."
Yeah.
But then if you did a nice job, but you weren't quite right for the part because you weren't African American,
Yeah.
but you did a nice job,
Yes.
the casting director is going to remember you. They'll call you back for another.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then if you consistently do a nice job with your auditions, but maybe you don't have the credits or whatever, the casting director is going to keep calling you in, and that is so huge. Consistency is so key to winning with casting directors' respect, and then of course a director on set's respect. But
And being willing to reinvent yourself, and being willing to really look at it. Rebecca talked about that she saw something that was supposed to be a female, but it could be a male. I went into a movie one time, and I went with a girlfriend, and I knew that there was only one mother. And so I thought, well, she's going to read for the mother. But then I looked at the sheets, and there was a desk clerk in the hotel. And I thought, well, the desk clerk could be a woman. Why not? So when I got into the casting director, he said, are you going to read for the mother? And I said, no, I'm going to read for the desk clerk. And he said, well, the desk clerk's a man. And I said, who said that the desk clerk's going to be a man? Well, anyway, long story short, I played it, and he wrote more to the script. So that was an independent film. But, you know, I had to think outside the box, and sometimes you have to do that. And like Rebecca said, you can't drive everybody nuts, but it doesn't hurt to follow up.
You two touched on an interesting point, which I would love to just jump in and maybe expand upon quickly, which is etiquette. You know, etiquette on set, just being a nice person, someone who's easy to work with. I know, you know, even in my 13 years as a writer, you know, I had certain things that I always did, which I believe consistently got me jobs. Sometimes it doesn't just come down to pure talent. Maybe you could talk a little bit about just how you engage with your fellow actors or even directors or the people that are giving you your lunch on set.
On set, you're talking specifically on set? Interacting with people on set? Okay, great, yeah. I think first of all, you want to be professional, understanding that you are on a professional that costs thousands and thousands and times millions of dollars to run. So we are professional. Number two, you want to be someone who people want to be around, but you don't want to be a clown. So you don't want to take it too far and be that, you know, that kind of person. You just want to be professional and smile, and when the PA comes and gets you and says it's time we go to wardrobe, or here you stay in your honey wagon until then, you know, if they say, can we get you anything, you know, yeah, of course, I'll take a water or whatever sometimes. But try not to be too diva-like, right? You know, and do you have kombucha? And I would like my tea with a sliced lemon. And do you have salmon?
Well, that's
no,
when you get your star on the door.
Yeah. But you
have your star on the door, you can say, I want salmon only.
Yeah.
Until you get that star on the door, I don't care the size of the project, I don't care the size of the theater, I don't care the size of the movie, I don't care. You are there to do a job. And it's your responsibility as an actor to go there and give the best you can do and be the best you can be. And that means showing up on time, being willing to work with wardrobe if they want to change what you've got on or whatever, being willing to accept that. If you've got a director who doesn't like the way you're delivering the line, to understand that they're not ready to kill you, they're just ready for you to change. And that it's not you being told that you're awful, it's just the way that director sees it and wants it. And so you have a responsibility as an actor to show up for a job. And I think that's what Rebecca's trying to say too, is that we know that we want to be treated as a professional, and we want others to treat us as a professional. Now, there are PAs on sets sometimes that'll make you crazy. And they're frustrated actors, just tell yourself. They'd love to be where you are, so just love them for what they are and move on. But there is no project too small for you to not be professional in all that you do, no matter what level of the theater that you're in or the movie that you're in.
I'm always so excited to be on set. I'm just like the happiest person in the world to be on set, to be working, and so I always make sure that that everybody knows how grateful I am. Every single person, whether it's the PA walking me around, or of course hair and makeup that does their work on me, and wardrobe, but
always thank the director before I leave. That's hugely important. So, and you can, I don't know who else you can thank. Like, you can try and thank the casting director, but to be honest with you, they are so busy, they don't have time to sit here and read whatever it is you're sending them. So just know, if you do your job well, that's the biggest thank you that they can get from you, is showing up on time to set with your lines memorized, doing the work, being professional, and leaving when you're supposed to, not hanging out kind of thing. And that's kind of how I see set etiquette. But I love getting to know the actors on the set that I'm working with.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we don't get like time to rehearse. Whatever it is, it's kind of like we might get a smidgen before cameras roll. So you maybe don't have a lot of interaction with every single person you're working with, but when I do get the chance, I'm always so grateful and interested in these people and genuinely happy to be there.
I have an old story. I have a lifelong friendship with Jennifer O'Neill. And for those of you that are too young to know who she was an actress that did some major films. And when I first moved to LA, my mother-in-law got me on the set of Rio Lobo. And so Jennifer was the lead female in that movie with John Wayne. And Jennifer, I was a street person, and Jennifer walked up to me and said, "I don't like that hat that you have on." And I said, "You're the prettiest girl I ever saw in my life." And we were both about 20 years old. And she said, "Come with me, I'm going to take you to wardrobe." She took me to wardrobe, she changed my hat. She said, "Come with me, you're going to eat with me." So instead of eating in the commissary, I got to eat with the A-listers. And we became friends. And this year, my daughter got married at her farm here. So that's a lifelong friendship that came from being on a set with people and having somebody reach out to me, and I was at least gracious enough to accept it and to honor that she was taking me under her wing. So you never know what's going to happen in life. There's always things, but just know that when you're there for a job.
Well, and I love that you said that and talked about the side benefits of your industry, which is just getting to meet wonderful people. And I do have just one last question, and then maybe we can take a couple if anyone in the audience has any. But I know that you were both highly involved with the Nashville chapter of Women in Film. Maybe you could talk a little bit about, and I would be curious, like this from my own personal knowledge, the organization's missions and why you are passionate about supporting other women in film.
Well, Women in Film Nashville was started in 1982, and now we have about 300 members. And it's grown and gone through lots of changes. Its mission is to empower women in all aspects of theater, film, and media. And we try to give a scholarship every year, and we try to encourage filmmakers to make films, female filmmakers to make films. And we try to provide the workshops and speakers that are relevant to our industry on all levels, because we have not only actors, but we have editors and filmmakers and gaffers and makeup artists and sound people, light people, that are all members of Women in Film and Television. And I was a member, and we went through a little bit of change, and I didn't show up for a meeting, so I got appointed president. And I've been the president for 2 years, and we've tried to make some changes and do some better and bigger things. And of course, you know, timing is everything, and Nashville is changing. And so there's some great opportunities for us as women to do more and more. And I think Women in Film gives us that vehicle to do more and more. Today I met a woman who's involved with abuse and and drug abuse and things like that. And I'd like to partner with her and do some things with the women in film with her. And every day I meet somebody new that makes me think better and better. And more organizations are wanting to merge. You know, we have the women in cable that want to merge with us. We have the women in music that want to merge with us. So more and more of that is happening. And I think that's a good thing, because the bigger we are, the more we can do.
Great. I used to be on the board with Linda at Women in Film and Television in Nashville, and I enjoyed my time. I was 4 years, I think, I was on the board. And I thought I was moving to Atlanta. This was about 2 years ago, and so I left the board, which was when Linda took over the helm. And I've just been busy as an actor and have not been as involved as I used to be with Women in Film and Television, but I believe in it so much. It's such a lovely benefit to our community and a resource to many women in film and television and media. I also feel like it's really important for us as people who live in a community, whether it's here or some other state or city, to be involved as much as you can in your film, television community, filmmakers and film festivals. You know, we have Nashville Film Festival that is in October now. We have this film festival that's come to Nashville this year. We have there's Defy Film Festival, that's a smaller independent film, but we've got lots of ways to show your work, lots of ways to network and get to know people in the community and support each other. We have a little something called Salute Your Shorts here that they do, I think, once a month. We have classes, and we just, so much talent here.
Yeah.
So much talent in Nashville, Knoxville, Memphis, obviously, Chattanooga. Those are our 4 major markets in Tennessee.
Yeah.
So much talent. We just can't compete with the incentives that they offer in Georgia, but one day things are happening here.
Yeah.
More and more they're happening,
Yeah.
and we have more and more chances to get involved and help each other and cheer each other on.
And that's the key. That's the key, is that we promote each other. And that's what's valuable about a strong women's organization, where you do support each other in their efforts. And that's one of our major goals, is supporting each other. And that's important.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, I love that. Was there anything I didn't touch on that? Yes.
My question is twofold.
Great.
I'm not familiar with the Nashville scene.
Sure.
I hail from Georgia and Los Angeles. Many years ago, I've been out of the industry for 5 years, I want to make that very clear. My 2 questions are, when my journey into film and television began, I had a child who was in the industry, and was very naive, and of course grew into something fabulous. But one of the things I would love for you to touch on in the national area is anybody here who's thinking about going that route, there are some things that you have to be careful of. There are people out there who are misleading in the what they call it, clickbait, that will have you pay for certain things that you should not have to pay for. And then my second question is in regards to that. When you have children, I think it's really imperative for any parents who might be in the audience, when you go to an audition or you go to anything, you make sure you're with your child all the time. How does that work here in Nashville?
Pretty much the same, pretty much the same.
Yeah.
There are agents here who are not legitimate like they should be. There are casting directors that are not legitimate. There's all that. You know, the industry is an ugly industry. It's tough, and everybody wants to be a star. And that breeds that sort of thing. But we're still young enough and not jaded enough to have too much of it. We have a little bit of it. But we do a real good job with SAG-AFTRA of trying to teach what's right and what's wrong. the organizations like the Nashville Film Guild, the Nashville Women in Film and Television, the Nashville Creatives, all these organizations try to educate and let people know. And yes, it's important for parents to be involved with their child, absolutely. And any casting director that's worth their salt, if they've got a child on call, will say that the parent has to be with them. So if they don't ask for that, then I would say that my antennas would go up, because they do need to be accompanied by an adult. And our key casting director